I rode 100 miles in the gnarliest of circumstances, and it really became a test of both physical and mental endurance, especially for me. I was sobbing. I was full on sobbing. Hi everyone, my name is Mima. I used to be obese. I lost all of the weight through a combination of GLP-1 medication, a whole foods diet, and weightlifting. I am now an endurance cyclist who finished this year's Unbound Gravel 100 miles and is now training for another gravel race in Pennsylvania next month. I have also been off of GLP-1 medication for about 8 months now. If you would like realistic structure for fat loss and maintenance, and training for strength and longevity, and also training like an athlete on or off of GLP-1 medication, then you are in the right place. If you guys have been here a while, you would have noticed that my intro changed a little bit because yes, Unbound Gravel has finally happened, and yes, I did finish. I took on the 100-mile course of basically the most iconic, probably biggest gravel race in the world, and I crossed the finish line. And this is despite the fact that this year, I think the race saw what was probably the most brutal conditions of its 20-year history. We had thunderstorms, we had 35-mile-an-hour headwinds, we had torrential rain, and that torrential rain made some parts of the course so muddy that we couldn't even get on our bikes and ride, and it clogged our bikes. It clogged my bike. I had to spend so much time clearing out the mud from my tires. I had hoped to finish in like 7.5 hours because that was what my training pace was, and I was pretty confident that I could actually ride at that pace. But again, because I had spent so much time clearing the mud from my bike, and I was also hiking during some parts of the course with my bike, like carrying my bike on my shoulder or like carrying it like this in front, like depending on how the terrain was and the condition of the mud. I was also biking slower because of the headwinds. Again, we had like at most like 35 miles an hour. It was not easy. I finished in 11.5 hours, which is 4 hours more than what I had hoped for, but I finished. I rode 100 miles in the gnarliest of circumstances, and I finished. And because of how hard I worked that weekend, then you betcha this video is going to be all about that journey. From being a super newbie bike rider, cyclist, whatever, to someone that completed Unbound Gravel's 100-mile course. And yes, I know, it's been weeks since we last had an episode of my series, The Roadmap to Outlasting GLP-1s. But I think this video is still super relevant because my cycling journey greatly informs how I think. It greatly informs how I think about that series, and just generally like shapes my overall perspective on weight loss, GLP-1s, and maintenance. So I started taking up cycling in August of last year, and that is actually around the time that I started this channel. So my earlier videos are about that. You can go through like my channel and see these videos, and I'm going to link a couple in the description box down below as well. And why I decided to take up cycling was because I, at that time, was diagnosed with genetic high cholesterol. Through the weight management program that I'm in, I actually do get regular blood work, and my lipids were just not at the great shape. I was sent to a cardiologist, and that was how I basically got diagnosed with genetic high cholesterol. And because of that diagnosis, I knew that I needed to have like a regular cardiovascular exercise to help me manage that, in addition to the strength training that I was already doing regularly and whatever I would decide with my cardiologist to do medically to help with improving my lipid panel. I decided on cycling at the urging of some of my family members who do like to ride bikes. And at that time, I just really wanted to build up my fitness and my endurance to actually be able to ride long rides. There are a number of really nice trails around my area, the state where I live, many of them spanning hundreds of miles. And it would be nice like one day to actually go through these trails. Like in my head, it would be nice to just like spend a week in nature riding from one point of this trail to another, and staying in various bed and breakfasts around the trail. So I just like had like a very whimsical, dreamy like idea of what my cycling journey could be like. But overall, I just really wanted to improve that endurance so I could like ride for, I don't know, like 90 miles a day, going from one part of my state to another and staying like, again, in a really cute bed and breakfast in that part of my state. I really had no compunction, no attraction to racing whatsoever. So in around early November, I saw a reel on Instagram basically calling on women to join more gravel races. And I did, at the start of the journey, buy a gravel bike because gravel bikes do very well on trails that are not paved, not roads. So I was essentially already doing gravel cycling, and I wasn't even taking my bike on like the main roads here because I don't want to get hit by a car. And it's very lovely to ride on trails in like nature, basically. So again, I saw that Instagram reel, and the Instagram reel was like very specifically mentioning Unbound Gravel as like this one race where they really wanted more women to sign up for and put their names in the lottery. And I knew nothing about this race. I knew nothing about the world of gravel cycling racing, gravel racing. And this, when I saw the Instagram reel and did a little bit of research of what Unbound Gravel was, I found out that this is basically the biggest, most iconic gravel race in the world. I think some people actually credit this race for creating the world of gravel racing, and so many people want to join and be a part of this race that this race essentially operates as a lottery system. You don't sign up and register like many, if not a majority of gravel races, whether it's local or statewide or whatever. So because it was a lottery, I thought to myself, look, I am very unlucky with any kinds of lotteries, whether it's low stakes or high stakes. So I thought, you know what? I'll just add my name to the lottery, add to that statistic so they could say that more women put their names in, more women than ever before have put their names in to join, to race in Unbound Gravel this year. And honestly, like, I just did not worry about it after that. But lo and behold, I guess, spoiler alert, that my name did get picked. And I basically had a choice. I could commit to actually riding the 100 miles, which at this point in November is a crazy distance for me. I don't think I was even barely riding 30 miles at that point, or even 25 miles at that point in my cycling journey. And again, a crazy distance. I was like, how could I do 100 miles? And I was thinking about the time I had to train. It was 6 months. Do I have enough time to actually train for a bike ride with this terrain for 6 months? To top it all off, I had to figure out how to train for a race like this in the middle of all of the work travel I knew that I had scheduled in the first quarter of 2026. So yeah, I was either going to commit to it and really have to figure it out, or I would just forget that I ever put my name in the lottery. And as you can imagine, we are here right now talking about this. I chose to commit to the race, and I chose to have a goal of finishing this race. I didn't even have a time goal at that time. I just wanted to be fit enough to have built enough endurance to be able to ride 100 miles. And honestly, I actually felt pretty well trained going into the race. I knew I wasn't going to win medals or anything. I wasn't going to podium. And when you say podium, to actually get the top 5 or whatever, however deep the podium is for that race, I wasn't going to podium for my age group or whatever, but I felt good in that I was going to finish. I was sure that I was going to finish. And I also had a good inclination that I was going to finish at a good time that was considered or what was considered to be a good time for my fitness, my skills, and sort of just for how long that I've been riding this kind of cycling event, or this type of cycling. So I knew I was going to finish. I knew that I had what it takes to finish. And also just physically, like in the lead up to the race, I felt really good. I felt really ready. I was sleeping well. I was eating well. My nutrition was very on point. I had a plan. I was sticking to the plan. My gut was also trained for the kind of fueling required for a 100-mile race for my physique and the kind of effort that I needed to be able to finish the 100-mile race. So I was pretty confident, again, that I was going to finish. And at that point, it really all boiled down to what the weather was going to be like. And in Kansas, weather can be pretty unpredictable. It changes every minute, I guess. And, you know, if the course would stay dry, then it would be a pretty fast day for basically everyone who was riding the race, whether you're riding the 25-mile or the longest distance in Unbound is 350 miles. So it really, again, depended on the weather. And boy, Mother Nature really wanted to make the 20th year of Unbound Gravel a very memorable one, fit for a 20th year anniversary, because she threw everything. She threw everything at us. Again, like I said, thunderstorms, torrential rain, strong headwinds, and all of those conditions making the course muddy and hard to ride on and just clogging up our bikes. And it really became a test of both physical and mental endurance, especially for me. And at some point during the race, I was like, I must be an insane person to have signed up for a race like this for just like not even a year of cycling and for a very first race of like my roster. It was like, I don't know, like insane decision-making work. Essentially, like I had to keep at it, but I was also so happy to have continued regularly strength training during this time, despite, you know, committing to the race, to finishing 100 miles. And also, like, because I loved cycling so much, there were days where I didn't want to be in the gym. I wanted to be outside riding my bike. But I do pass Mima on that for the back, because these guns, they came in handy. I was carrying my bike for quite a long time at some point during the race. And because of how terrible the course had become mud-wise, like it was at times very hard to do that, let alone carry my bike and walk at the same time, because my feet were sinking into the mud. Mud was getting stuck in my shoes. It was not easy, and which is why I actually don't have any photos of me smiling triumphantly crossing the finish line, because I was sobbing. I was full on sobbing, but it wasn't like any tears of sadness or anything like that, any negative emotion, nothing of that sort, because I was really overwhelmed. I was really overwhelmed because I had just done this really hard thing. And when I crossed that finish line, I just felt this big wave of validation, a validation of my strength, my power, my mental and physical grit. It was just such a strong like emotion for me. Again, there's just this huge validation, huge reinforcement of all of the decisions I made, this entire metamorphosis and life change that I've done since getting on GLP-1 medication in September of 2024. It was huge. Like, it was, again, so emotional. And I am going to insert that full clip of me sobbing as I crossed the finish line.
Unbound Gravel presented by Shimano. We just welcome back Braxton Hansen from Ogden, Utah, the 200-miler. Jemima Holt from Pasadena, Maryland, 100-mile finisher. And how about it for Noel Sanchez from Andover, Kansas, 100-mile finisher. John Boyce from Madison, Mississippi. Attaboy, John. How about Luann Ainsworth from Brandon, Mississippi, 68 years young. That young lady.
Congratulations! Congratulations, you did it.
And if this is the first time that you've ever come across my channel, this is the first video that you've ever seen of me, or the first time you've ever heard me talk about anything like this, you might be thinking, after watching that video of me sobbing as I crossed the finish line at Unbound, well, she's super dramatic. Like, what a dramatic chick. I want to emphasize that 20 months ago, I was class 1 obese. I was never athletic. I've never been an athletic person. Hell, for a big chunk of my life, I would look at myself in the mirror and not know who was looking back. So when I crossed that finish line in Emporia in Unbound Gravel, it was a really validating and empowering thing because it proved that I had built something incredibly enduring. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have built what I have built today. I would not be fully embracing this new identity of an athlete without GLP-1 medication. And I really do mean that, which is why I've sort of like saved this message for last, because I am not here to minimize what this medication has done for me. It has completely changed the trajectory of my life. But what I have learned over the course of my endurance cycling journey so far, and what Unbound really drove home for me, is that the medication, and the case for me, it's Zepbound, tirzepatide, that medication gave me a starting point, but it actually did not at all give me a finish line. And that bike that got me to the finish line, it was me who built that bike. I built that bike ride by ride, training block by training block, early morning by early morning, meal by meal. I built that bike and I built this body that could do hard things. I also built this mind. I built this mind that refused to quit, even when the course turned into a mud pit that made it so hard to actually keep moving. And basically, my time goal just went out the window. That's all me. That's not the medication. But that is the version of me. This is the version of me that GLP-1 medication was able to make space for. But I had to actively choose this identity, consistently work hard for this identity to actually become and have this identity. And I am not special. I am not a unicorn. Again, I did not grow up athletic. There is absolutely no version of my youth that could have predicted that I would be able to finish a 100-mile course like this. I was never that girl who ran races or biked races. I didn't play sports. I didn't have a single iota of athleticism, athletic identity in my history. I was just someone who, given this window that Zepbound, tirzepatide provided, saw what was possible for me and decided that the work needed to go after it was worth it, and I went after it. And honestly, that's really what I want you to take from this. GLP-1 medications is one of the most powerful tools that we have right now, but a tool only does whatever it does when you use it and use it the right way. And I firmly believe that anyone can use it like I did. Become someone you couldn't imagine being, but always wanted to be. If you've liked today's video, please don't forget to like it. And also, if you like content like this, and if you want to follow along to my roadmap to outlasting GLP-1 series, which I'll put in the description box below the episodes that we've already had out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and do all of the YouTubey things. We do want to grow this channel. We do want to build a community who believe that this medication can help them become the people physically and mentally that they've always wanted to be and always known that they could be. Again, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you want any of my day-to-day stuff, my training for cycling, the meals that I eat, the workouts that I do, I have my Instagram handle right here. That's where you'll find me in between videos. And I know that the videos in the last couple of months have not been super regular. It's just been a really busy time. As you can imagine, I've just crossed the finish line of a 100-mile race. Anyway, find me on Instagram, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell if you want to make sure that you will be able to see the newest video, all of the content that I'm gonna put up. But until the next video, thank you so much for joining me today. Happy riding.